They said there's going to be a very huge, like big enough, like earth event. I think it's like an earthquake type of a volcanic type experience that is so big we hear it around the entire world. So to put that into perspective, Tonga, I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if it was Tonga when that blew, but that you could hear halfway around the world. So it would be bigger than Tonga, a very large volcanic explosion of some sort that happens, I believe, in the Indian Ocean, is what they said. And this, I believe, is associated with, they said a beautiful thing is there will be a flash of light that is coming. This is not a nuclear flash of light. This is from a solar experience. This is from a star. Could be our star, could be, there some people think it might be Betelgeuse when it's supernovas. But it's some kind of a wave of light that comes from a solar, from a star.
I'm very happy to bring you Ann Tucker today. Ann is the creator of Business and Energetics, transmitter of Nine Angelic Frequencies Series, and a trance channel for angelic wisdom. She is supporting awakening souls on their journey through community, spiritual connection, and healing so they can take advantage of this time of rapid growth and ascension. You can find her weekly videos where she shares channeled messages from the angels on her popular Ann Tucker YouTube channel. Ann, thank you so much for being my guest today. I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here with you. Thanks.
Yeah, and this is going to be a little bit different for me. We usually have guests who've had near-death experiences, but I wanted to bring you on to show everyone how you don't have to have that near-death experience to forge that connection with the other side, to be able to have this information and this really, it's a deep connection that you have. So tell me how this all got started for you.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that because you're right that you don't, and having a near-death experience is a wonderful way to sort of thin the veil so you can see through it, but it's not the only way. And so for me, I lived the very first part of my life, a big chunk of the part of my life. I would say I was very asleep. My heart was closed. I was living a very conventional life. I was in an unhappy marriage. I was all the things. And it took like at that time, I was very committed to not being divorced, not because the marriage was great, but because I didn't want to be divorced. And it took being very suddenly divorced, having the rug pulled out from underneath me, having, the settled, complacent life that I thought I was in, having all that rattled and shaken apart. And it led me into my awakening. And it was very, very karmic. Like this was planned. This was going to happen before I got here. And everything just fell into place. Boom, boom, boom. Once the slate was cleared, once all of my complacency was rattled away, then all of a sudden it was like all these experiences started to come in, and it was one after another. And I didn't understand really why, what was happening. It started with dreams that then actually happened, in my life and it wasn't just like a dream, that's sort of a foggy picture that you kind of, oh, this reminds me of a dream. It was like a photograph. Like I see the dream and then boom, I'm living that exact moment to the detail. And experiences that led me into becoming a healer. So I had the experience of, without any idea of how I was doing it or why it happened, all of a sudden I thought of someone and boom, I was inside their body. And I was feeling what it was to be them inside their body. I could see out their eyes. I could see, I did this the first time it happened. I thought about a friend and boom, I could see she was on an airplane. I could see the movie that she was watching on the screen in front of her. I could see she looked this way and I could see the lady's shoes over here. I mean, it was wild. And I immediately text her. I'm like, oh my gosh, where are you? I'm on an airplane. And like 2 hours later, she texts me back. Yeah. And that's the movie I was watching. And it sounds very strange, but I came to learn how to control this, where I always am very careful about having someone's permission before I do that. But I came to understand that this was how I would heal, that I would move my awareness, because we are all one. I would move my awareness into another person's body, and then angels would come in through me. And then I would, through a combination of clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, I would heal, and I could feel, and the angels would heal. I could feel when the energy released because I was in their body. So like, how did all this happen? And because you bring up the very good point of like, how is it that maybe someone who's watching this right now is as closed as I was, or on as conventional a path as I was. Like I used to work at Microsoft. I was a negotiator. I was an executive coach. I had this whole other life, this whole other career. And to go down this path, I gave all that up. It was absolutely a one-way ticket. And just to say, like, it's not a thing where you go down this path because you're like glory and riches. Like, no, like that's not the reason, because I had a very successful life, and I had to literally leave all of that behind in order to pursue this spiritual calling, which was so present in my mind all the time. I couldn't forget about it. So once you come out as an angel channel, there is no going back into the boardroom. Like nobody, and none of my old clients want to talk to me, you know? And so it's a one-way ticket. But for somebody who is still in that and saying, hey, how do I get that connection? Like, it is through healing. That the process we need to go through is the process of understanding the only thing that is stopping us is ourselves, is our limiting beliefs. And I know we hear that all the time, and it begins to sound like almost like a cliche, but I cannot express how true it's. The cliches are cliches for a reason. It's because they're true. And it is a process of encountering ourselves and understanding where our limitations are. And there's the surface ones, which are the really obvious ones that you're like, why do I keep dating the same person over and over and over again, that you see, you're like, how do I heal this? And then there's the deep ones that are really hard to get to. So it's a process of balancing our masculine and feminine energies and bringing those, once we balance the two, balance both. And this is nothing to do with being male or female. It's our masculine and feminine energies. We bring those into coherence. When we do, boom, it almost like it ignites our connection up to source, and it allows us to have, and it's not an all or nothing. Every little bit you heal, every little bit you work through moves you further on your path, it reduces friction in your life. And the end result is that you're moving through your life much more friction free, where your life may not have changed dramatically in terms of, like, maybe you live in the same house, you probably have the same family, you may even have the same job, but you are totally different in that experience. That all of a sudden you feel love where you couldn't feel love before, right? You feel peace where before you felt anxiety. It's a complete shift in your experience of living. So that is available, and that's available to anyone, and it's not hard. It just takes not giving up. It takes being conscious of yourself, and everybody needs help. Like, it's hard to do it on your own. There's loads of books. I have healing meditations that are free on my YouTube channel, and there's things that people can do and that to work on themselves, but having help helps. That we're not meant to go on this journey alone. But yeah, so I started out as I was going through my own process, and I saw that I was, that I had these healing gifts come in, and I of course was amazed and fascinated and couldn't wait to pursue this. And I realized that my whole journey in working with the angels, and that I didn't understand at the time that's who I was working with. Later, I came to understand that's who I was working with. But I came to understand that my journey is all about releasing and allowing. And it's about how much can I let go of control and trust in not only in the energies that are supporting me, the angels that are supporting me, but trust in my own experience of life, that I am creating my entire life from inside of me. And so why wouldn't I trust that? Right? What is there inside of me that I'm not trusting? And so the more clear I get, the more I just flow into my life, trusting that everything's going to unfold beautifully. And so there's been all these juncture points where it's like the minute I would get attached to, okay, so I was a healer, and I was working individually with clients, and that was how I was supporting myself. And then all of a sudden the message comes, okay, no more individual clients, no more one-on-one sessions at all. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? I've got kids. How am I supposed to support myself? And they're like, yep, sorry, no more. Release, allow, trust. And you're like, no, I don't want to. So you gotta, it's like, you gotta do it. So, and this is not just a unique theme. Like, in my life, I have moved just about every 2 years, literally every 2 years, like something happens and I move house. And these would be houses that I built, houses that I remodeled, that I love, that I put so much energy in. And then, oh, something happens and you got to release and allow and let go and move on. And so it's this process through my whole life of conditioning me to release and allow. And I didn't understand until much further in my journey why that was so important. And it wasn't until, so I had gone through this whole process of becoming a healer, doing one-on-one sessions, stopping doing that, moving into doing groups of sessions, larger groups of people, moving in that direction. And then one day and so at this point, I'm a full-time energy healer working with groups. I go out to meditate. I'm sitting in my usual spot. And as soon as I close my eyes, boom, it's like one of my guides, who I think is my healing guide, is sitting on me. They're sitting on my forehead and my chest. And it is so heavy that I can't breathe. It's like it's a physical presence, a pressure that's pushing on me. And I am like, what are you guys doing? Because when I would heal, I was used to them coming through me, but they would come in through my back, my back of my heart. So I'm wondering, like, what is the deal? Just come in already. Why are you pushing on me like this? And I couldn't understand it. And I couldn't make heads or tails out of it. And this went on for 6 months. The minute I would close my eyes to meditate, boom, they would be on me pushing. And I would just have to just kind of close my eyes and try to breathe through this, like, it was crazy. And I couldn't understand what was going on. And so then finally, 6 months into this, I realized they were not trying to come in, they were trying to pull me up. And so as soon as it just hit me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is what's going on. I felt my crown chakra open, and zoop, I go up. And I'm clairvoyant. So what I saw, I go up and I see myself, and I'm surrounded by angels, and I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's happened. Like I'm here and they're here, and this is going to be so amazing. And I'm surrounded by this, semicircle of these amazing angelic, and they appear the way, I would expect them to look, like angelic beings. And they're smiling at me, and they're standing there, and I'm smiling. I'm like, great. Okay. Like, what's next? And then nothing happens. Nothing. I mean, like, they don't talk, and I'm trying to am I supposed to be doing like telepathy, or like, what's supposed to happen? This went on for another 6 months, where I would close my eyes, I would go up, and they would be there, and they'd be smiling and waiting. And they're waiting with, like, I would call it like the patience of the eternal. You know what I mean? Like they would wait till me for 80 years. If it took me 80 years to figure this out, like time is nothing to them. So they just wait, smile at me. And I could not figure it out. And I would try everything. I'd be like, can you write? Like, what if you had a chalkboard and you wrote me like a tablet, like might write something? Nope, nothing. So I go on for this like 6 months. And then finally it occurs to me, okay, wait a minute. I think I'm supposed to go up and stay down here at the same time. And that is when everything clicked in. And that's when I realized this is what trance channeling is. So I go up, and then I stay, a part of me stays here in my body. And then all of a sudden, and the first time I tried it, I tried writing messages. I just said, okay, just because I wasn't sure, I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. Just give me a word, one word. Because I don't want to question myself. I was this very analytical person, and I would second guess myself all the time. So I said, just give me one word at a time, so that I don't really know what you're saying. And then afterwards I'll read it, and I'll see if it makes any sense. And if it does, then I'll know maybe I'm onto something. Maybe this is it. So I would just kind of open up, and it would be like words dropping down a pipe, like a little pipe between me and them, and the word would come down. And if I didn't write the word down, the word would just kind of stick in the pipe, and I could feel it there, like this little pressure, like, here's the word, say the word, So I wrote all the words, individual words, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense at all. I'm just writing it down. And I get down, I have like half a page, and I go back and I read it. Absolutely blew my mind. Like, not only did it make sense, but it was eloquent. Like it was a beautiful message. I was floored, absolutely floored. And so that was how I figured out how to trance channel. And then they said, okay, try just speaking it. And so they told me get dictation software, just speak it. So I started doing that, and the messages would flow through. But the key to all of this is the allowing. Is that when you trance channel, you have to be willing to just let go and just let it. And all of my fears about doing it right, about making mistakes, about like, what if I say something and it's the wrong thing and I'm wrong, and then all of that, I had to just be willing to be wrong. I had to be willing to allow them. And it's not like it's so tangible. It's not like when I channel, it's not like there's, like my physical buddy standing next to me that I can see and touch. And it's not like that. It is all about trust. And you go in, and so it wasn't long that I was doing this, that they told me, you're going to do this for 90 minutes, which, by the way, when you first start trance channeling, it is exhausting. Like it sucks all your energy. Like you're just flat out afterwards. So the idea of holding this connection for 90 minutes was like, I thought that was going to be impossible. They said, yeah, you're going to bring in 9 frequencies that have never been to the planet before. It's going to take 90 minutes each. And you're going to do it for people from all over the world, for a big group from all over the world. I didn't know how on earth that was going to happen. But sure enough, it did. That I said, I'm going to do this thing. And then people just showed up. And I did. In 90 minutes, I was able to hold the vibration and do it. And to imagine showing up as a person who's former corporate, right? Where I would, if I gave a presentation, I would practice, I'd have my outline, I'd have slides. I was, all my T's and dots and I's were crossed and all that, you know what I mean? Or I's dotted and T's crossed. This was show up for an audience of 600 people with no agenda for 90 minutes and just be there and see what happens. And that was the instructions. And so talk about allowing, like letting go. Do you know what I mean? Like the level of like, okay, like I had to encounter myself and encounter my fear and all of it, fear of being seen, fear of messing up, all of it. And so, yeah, it has been an amazing journey of growth. And that is what I talk about. I talk about healing. When I talk about how do we strengthen our connection, it is every time I have been willing to lean in despite my fears, every time I have been willing to to go into that releasing, allowing, letting go, trusting myself, trusting them. The more I grow, the more I expand, the more my heart grows. And so that was for sure the committing to do it, putting myself out there. And that doesn't mean I went in without, I was absolutely terrified. Are you kidding me? The first time I did it, yeah, I was really scared. But I did it. And then the second time got easier and it got easier. And they don't let up. Like it's not now, like now I've been doing it for a long time now, what, 6 years, 7 years? And it's not like it's every time I get really comfortable, then it's like 2 years go by and they're like, okay, you're good at that now. Time to stop doing that. Time to change it and do something new. And they do that all the time. Every time, like I was running this program called the Golden Circle, which was like working with a group. And it was my primary source of income. And they said, okay, no more. We're going to stop doing that. Time to end the program. And they wouldn't tell me what was next. I had to just trust, release, allow, let go, and trust that I am creating my life and trust that what is showing up in front of me is what's inside of me. And so if I encounter anything in my world, if there's any time in my day that I feel anything other than awesome, if I feel anything other than like happy and joyful and present and involved, right? Then I wrote, oh, wait, there's something. That's me. What is causing that? If I feel, I got triggered in that, I was driving today and someone honked at me. Oh, that's interesting. How did that make me feel? If somebody honks and it doesn't affect you, then that's not you. It's just the world. We are sharing a co-created reality. But if they honk and I feel anxious, or if I feel angry, or if I anything other than good, then, ooh, there's something in me, right? That's me. What is that? And it gives me a chance to then go into that feeling and say, what's underneath that? Because clearly it was there before the honk came. Before the person honked, that feeling existed in me. So what caused it? And I just spend time with it and I allow it to express. And to me, that is what self-love is. We talk about self-love all the time. We talk about, oh, we got to love yourself. But people get like everybody that sells stuff wants you to think that self-love is buying things. Like get a manicure, it's self-love. Like that's not what self-love is. Like it's nice, it's good to be gentle and kind to yourself. But self-love in my book is giving yourself the time and the presence to feel your feelings, is to express who you really are, which means allowing yourself to be present with, rather than just going through life, which so many of us do. Like how common is it? I was a mom. I know a lot of moms, when you're so busy with your kids, when you're so busy, and that's true for, for moms, dads, for anybody who's, if you've got pets, if you've got a really involving job, we get so involved with our world and with our life that we don't really, like it's really easy to put our own lives on second fiddle. Like how often have you been too busy to go to the bathroom? Where you're just like, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it later. I'll do it. Because you're so occupied in taking care of the daily stuff. And how different is that feeling of like, well, I'm strong, I can do it, I can suck it up, you know what I mean? I will handle myself later, I'll take care of, my value is in how I serve others, so I'm going to focus on everybody else and not think of me. And what we need to do is get into the space of self-love where we say, no, my feelings are why I'm here. That's why I incarnated. Yes, we want to serve others, but we serve others as a pathway to understanding ourselves. And so it is looking at that moment and saying, oh my gosh, my feelings are the jewels in this experience. So if I'm feeling not important, I need to go into that feeling of, why do I feel not important? Like, I am creating the experience of being unimportant. What is in me that believes, why do I believe that? What would I have to believe in order for that to be true? And what are the experiences of my life that would generate that? And even just going into the feeling, taking that moment and sitting down with it and just feeling, going into that, really, that presence. If you imagine feeling unimportant, feeling like like your needs are the last ones to be met, if you take that as a feeling and you sit with it and say, where in my body does that hurt? And you look in the body and you say, okay, I feel that. Wow, I really feel that in my gut. I feel that in my digestive system, wherever it is. I feel that in my rib. It's a pain in my elbow, wherever it is. And you say, there, it really is achy. I can feel it. And you give it a color, say, okay, I feel it. I'm going to make it blue. And then just let that color and let the feeling and the color just expand and take over your whole body till you feel so unimportant, you can barely hold it. Like, it's just huge, and you get the ugly cries and you just feel it as hard as you can feel it. And the crazy thing is that it will pass within 90 seconds and you will have healed that issue. It will be gone forever and you will not feel that again. So it is a process of releasing, allowing, letting go, loving yourself by feeling those feelings.
I
So
can I can really resonate with you talking about trust,
yeah.
because that's something how I started my podcast is I had to
Yes.
trust. I had a calling. You're so spot on with that. I think that is something that we don't do enough. We don't trust ourselves, and it's not something that's accepted in society. And there's so many labels of crazy people or woo woo
Yeah.
whatever it is, and we've got to let that all go and
Yeah.
trust, like you
You are
said.
so right. And here's the crazy thing is that there are those people in society, but when you heal the fear of those people, they will no longer show up in your world. Like, they are there, they will go where they resonate. So if you hold the fear of being judged about what you're doing, then those people find you. When you release the fear, then they don't show up anymore. And if they do, they don't trigger you. So yeah, so you're so right. So I know we wanted to talk too about some of the things that are coming as part of the great shift that we're going through.
Yeah, so we're going through a great shift, and you've received some channeled messages
Yeah.
about both what's coming, how to prepare, and what we should expect. Tell me about that.
Yeah, yeah. So it was a really interesting thing when when I first started trance channeling, the first messages that I got were it was probably like a month in, about a month in. The angels came through and they showed me, they said, we're introducing you to a new angel, and this angel is going to have messages that are very important. And I could see in my mind's eye, I could see two angels introducing me to a third angel. And they showed me, this is an angel, but you just notice this is a different angel. And like, okay, all right. So then the next time I channeled, this angel came through, and he came through with all kinds of information. And it was in the beginning, the first thing he said is, you must share this. That was the first thing he said. You must share this. This will save lives. You must share this. And then he started telling me about all kinds of stuff that I did not want to share. And so much so that I sat on it for 4 minutes or 4 months and didn't tell anybody. Because I was absolutely, the last thing I wanted to do was to be the crazy person holding the sign. You know what I mean? Like, the world isn't, I didn't want to be that person. But after 4 months, I had some people, like different people I would run into, I would talk to, who would say glimmers of what I was getting, who would be like, I have a fear that this is going to happen, or I have a premonition that something is going to happen. And I realized at the root, at our deepest truth, all of us know all of this already. We just have forgotten it. And so when I realized that, I'm just helping people to remind them. And the purpose for telling and for sharing these messages is so that we are not caught flat-footed when they happen. Because the most important thing to understand as we're going through the shift is that everything that occurs is for our highest and best. And all we need to do when chaos is external, which it will be increase, it's already been chaotic. We are currently in a polycrisis, and many of the things that they have told us about have already happened, but there's many more coming. And they've said what we need to do when things are chaos outside is we need to turn internal. And it goes against all of our instincts. All of our instincts are to run around and try to fix things and check on everybody, and you know what I mean, and try to make things the way they used to be. That's what humans do. We try to put the ship back upright. And they're saying no, when it happens, when chaos happens, they want us to turn, basically close the blinds, go internal, go inward, and find your peace. And it is literally like that's the pathway through. We go in and then we go up to a higher frequency. And as we do that, we are literally shifting into like a higher frequency body that we are born with. There's so much here. There's so much we could go into. But some of the things they talked about, and just keep in mind, as I said, none of it is told to inspire fear. It is all told so that when these things happen, we are not caught off guard, that we're not put into a panic. We see it, we say, okay, I remember this was going to happen. Everything's going to be all right. And we go internal. So they've talked about one of the biggest things they've talked about an earth rift. That was the first message of this sort that I brought through. They said there's going to be a very huge, like big enough, like earth event. I think it's like an earthquake type of a volcanic type experience that is so big we hear it around the entire world. So to put that into perspective, Tonga, I thought, oh my gosh, I wonder if it was Tonga when that blew, but that you could hear halfway around the world. So it would be bigger than Tonga, a very large volcanic explosion of some sort that happens, I believe, in the Indian Ocean, is what they said. And this, I believe, is associated with, they said a beautiful thing is there will be a flash of light that is coming. This is not a nuclear flash of light. This is from a solar experience. This is from a star. Could be our star, could be, some people think it might be Betelgeuse when it's supernovas. But it's some kind of a wave of light that comes from a star, and it hits the planet. And this is like, we've had a lot of waves of energy, and the angels have told us we've been in an experience of waves of energy, especially right now. We're in a peak period. They said they told us right before that massive solar storm that happened, they said it would be between then and November, we'll be in this period of massive energies hitting the planet. But this is bigger than all of that. This is like the wave of light. The angels described it. They said this will be the moment we look back on in the future and say that was the moment that changed everything. So that is how distinctive it will be. It will be so distinctive you cannot miss it. And it will be strong enough that it will reach you no matter where you are. So even if you're worried you're going to miss the flash of light, you could be down in a cellar, in a basement, way down, it's still going to get you because it will penetrate the earth. So it will reach everyone and everything on the planet. And the beautiful thing about this is it will raise our frequency up into a heightened state that we could not reach on our own. And they've said that it brings us up to the doorway. It literally carries everybody right. It's almost like just like an elevator brings us all the way up this incredible frequency. But in order to get through the doorway, that's a choice. We still have free will. So it raises us up, and as we get up there, then we have to be in the space of releasing, allowing, letting go, falling into this experience of living away from karma and in a dharmic experience of life. So there will be a lot of people ask, what about people who are resistant? Like what happens if do you have to be a certain level of enlightened to receive the flash of light? No, all you have to do is be open and be allowing, and that's it. The only way you can miss the flash of light or reject the flash of light is if we are clinging on very, very hard to what was, because we have free will. And if we are clinging on to what was, puts us in resistance to this energy. So if somebody is saying, okay, well, I want the flash of light, but I also want to have, my life go on the way I planned it. I'm in the middle of trying to get a degree and I want to get that degree, or I'm in the middle of my, I've got kids and I want my kids to experience prom, or, whatever it is that we're, I want my, I want my life to look the way it was. And when we hold on to that literally is like turning our back to it's turning back to the past. And that's the way we can think of it. And rather than opening up to this future. And yes, it will be different. Like it will be drastically different from how we are now. But the things we care about that seem so important to us now will not matter to us in the same way in the future. It will be better. The way I describe it and the changes that'll happen to us, like for example, we will through this experience develop a sixth sense that is so much stronger then the five senses, that it's not that we lose the five senses, it's just that the five senses, it's a little bit like the distinction between, say, how clear your sense of touch is, which is really helpful. Sense of touch is really nice, but compared to the sense of sight, like sight gives you way more information, right? You can, with sight, you can see things far away. You can know a lot of things that are way out there from sight. Touch, you have to be right next to things to feel them, and you're kind of trying to guess what it is. Lots of things feel the same to touch. So like if you had to say how much more powerful is sight versus touch, you would say, okay, maybe 10x, like 10x more information from sight versus touch. Well, our sixth sense, imagine it to be 100x more information comes in through our sixth sense than what we currently get with our five senses. So that is what comes in as we step into this, as we develop this sense of telepathy. And what that feels like is, everybody's been talking about oneness and unity. And yes, that is it. Is that as we move in, as we open to this higher, to our higher self, to our higher state of consciousness, we develop a sense of telepathy. What that means is that as you and I are sitting together, not only can we talk like we're talking, but we can share thoughts. And most importantly, I will feel what you feel. So as you are feeling something, if I say something that hurts your feelings, say I accidentally say something like insensitive and I hurt your feelings, I would immediately feel that. I would be like, oh my gosh. And I would feel it as if it was my own pain. And I would know immediately. And like, think about how incredibly useful that is. Like how we go, like, I remember one time there was a guy that was working for me, and I made an offhand comment about something that I thought was like, I was trying to be nice. And I said, there had been an accident, something had broken. And I said, it's no use crying over spilt milk. I just made it like, it's no, don't worry about it. I'll pay for it. It's no big deal. That was my thought in my head as I'm saying it, no use crying over spilt milk. Well, he thought I was calling him a crybaby. He thought I was like saying something really negative. He took it in a way that I never in a million years would have understood, right? But he had hurt feelings for like 3 months because of that comment. And it wasn't until we had this big conversation, like months later, and he tells me, well, you said this thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I had no idea I hurt your feelings. That was not my intention. But with this new gift, like we are experiencing our world, we still have our identity, we still have who we are, and that is key. And that is the lesson learned by the experience we've just moved through. We've moved through a process of total separation where we have been behind the veil, locked in our own bodies, completely cut off from one another, so that we get to know who we are, so that we understand our own individuation. Then we take that knowledge and we move it into the collective, and we can say, okay, I am me. I have my wants, needs, goals, but I feel you. And we are connected, and I see all the places of resonance. I see all the experiences we've shared, right? And there's this love that develops that you can't even stop, right? It's just so present. It's so powerful that you love, because you develop a sense of love of yourself, and you love everyone because you feel yourself in everyone. So that is the beauty of it. But there are hardships associated with it. We have the Earth rift is not a gentle thing to this planet. And we'll go through a major disruption. I think before that, we have some of the stuff the angels have said is it's going to be on all fronts. That they said it has to be an energy of exhaustion that takes everything down to flat. Like almost like, think about in the areas where we have war today, how it's literally bombing, city blocks flattened where there's nothing left. And they said that's critical, because if we don't do that, the power structures that are, if there's anything left, they will just scoop up the resources and rebuild themselves. And so we have to flatten things down. All the power structures that are keeping us the way that we are today, that lock us into our 9-to-5 lives, that lock us into the existences that we currently share, all of that has to come down. And so that means we're going to have massive political upheaval. The United States will split. It will no longer be the United States. We will have like this upcoming election. I don't think there is an election. I don't think it turns out anything like what we're expecting. And I think that we start seeing the dissolution. They said much earlier, they said that it would be the end of the hegemony, the United States' political hegemony. And I did have to look that word up. And it's like, it's global influence, it's global dominance. And right after they said that, and they said it would happen through payment processing. So right after that happened, sure enough, the United States placed economic sanctions on Russia, and they denied their access to the SWIFT banking system, which is how you process payments. And we called that an economic sanction to prevent, to punish them for invading Ukraine. But what that did is it undermined the having the US dollar be the global reserve currency, the petrodollar, which has been the foundation of our hegemony, of our influence and power in the world. So that was the beginning. And then now it's eroding and eroding and eroding and eroding. And now it's so that you can just see, it's just like everything they've said, it's like falling, these pieces falling like dominoes. It's blowing my mind. But so we go through that. I think that is, and timing, everybody always asks about timing. The angels do not do timing. I ask them and they say soon. Like I look at the astrology and I think that we start seeing the US fall apart like towards the end of this year. I think that we go into a global war. What the angels specifically said has happened is that China wants to assert its control over Taiwan. And that then, since the US is kind of doing its own flailing act of like, who are we? Because we're falling apart. Then they said Japan steps in to they rally the rest of the world against China. And I think Russia's involved in, but Japan is a big player too. And so that's my understanding. So we have a much broader war that happens. And so this is a period that we have to get through. And like I said, there's going to be chaos. But the thing the angels always tell me as we go through, as we talk about these things, they said, understand that not everything happens everywhere. That right now there is chaos happening all over the world, but wherever you are right now, if you look around your four walls, probably not, right? Things are okay. Wherever you are, maybe you have some experiences of this, but not all the experiences, right? Some places might be experiencing more than others, but the world is a very, very big place. So it is a thing where they're saying, just in terms of as we are experiencing the things that are happening, try not to put your awareness out in the world. Try to keep it in. Try to keep it focused on your own inner harmony, your own inner peace. But yeah, so we go through this period of expansive war. And then that's when the flash of light comes. They said in the middle of everything is when the flash of light comes. In the midst, when we're sort of at the peak crazy, flash of light. And I believe the flash of light may be the thing that causes the earth rift, because there's a relationship between these sort of energies hitting the planet and their effect on the Earth's crust. So that's my guess, that those two are correlated, but it also seems to fit with the way the angels they'll give me sort of sequences, but not timings, if that makes sense. So in other words, they say flash of light happens in the middle, at the sort of the peak of everything, in the middle of everything. So I think flash of light, earth rift, and they said, and then I think that creates the 3 days of darkness. And so I think the 3 days of darkness they said that what the angels specifically have said about the 3 days of darkness is they said it's a period of no communications. They specifically focused on, and it's probably all like dark and things like that, but the key they focused on, the only piece they actually mentioned was communication. And the reason why is because what they're focused on is what the 3 days of darkness brings us, which is the opportunity to start learning to use telepathy. Is that during that time period, we're meant to go internal and we're meant to communicate with our loved ones who are far away through telepathy. And so it's the opening, the expansion of that sixth sense happens during our 3 days of darkness, because it's quiet. All the external stimulation that we busy ourselves with all the time, it's shut off. No more scrolling, no more YouTube, no more anything, And so we have this opportunity to really go internal, to connect and to try to, and then we begin to start to hear each other's voices. So, which is a beautiful thing, but we have to go through some difficult things to get there. And they've said that another important thing they said is that so some people have asked, like, what about there's some people out there channeling that you're not supposed to go outside during the 3 days of darkness. The specific message I got from the angels is that when there is an earth rift, which, like I said, I believe is going to happen around the Indian Ocean, that there may be a gas that comes from the earth rift, and but it won't be everywhere. Think about that. A gas that comes out of a volcano, it will be in some places, right? But it moves. It's like a gas cloud. And so they said, when that happens, you don't want to go outside at all. And that's like 3 days is what they said. So just wait for it to pass. They said, don't go outside. Keep your windows closed, doors closed. Don't go out looking for relatives or whatever. If you are in one of those areas where you're near this earth rift, And just be aware, there may be a gas that comes out from this earth rift that is toxic. And so we're not, if you're there, you're not meant to go outside during that. Just make sure, again, close the doors, close the windows, stay inside and go internal and know that it's going to be all right. That's the key. Gosh, there is so much to this. And I know I've been talking a mile a minute, but yeah, but it's a lot. And I know it can be really terrifying and scary for people. But all I can say is that the things that seem like we will no longer have the same worries and fears that we do now. We are going to be changing. Our needs, our wants, our very way of existing will be different. And so the things that we can't imagine living without right now, the things we're so fearful about, we won't feel the same. So, and the only way I can really describe that would be to imagine the things you were worried about when you were a little kid. When you were little, you were worried about the bully on the playground. You were worried about your spelling test. You were worried about things that you look at now and you realize, wow, why was I willing? If I was me going back there, I wouldn't worry about that. And that's how we're going to feel. We're going to be like, yep, it's all right. And not only is it all right, it's amazing because we are evolving into an incredible new way of being, so much more expansive. There's no more loneliness, no more separation. Like the plague of humanity is loneliness. People are so separated from each other. So many people I know that the thing they want more than anything is to just be seen, to have someone else truly understand them, and how rare that is to feel like someone really sees your heart, that they give you the benefit of the doubt, that they know what you're feeling, that to have someone really understand you. And in this new world, that's going to be commonplace. That's going to be everyone. Everyone you meet will see your soul. Like, how incredible is that? Yeah, so that's where we're headed.
That is incredible. And you're right, there is so much, and it was a lot of information all at once. So I'm going to try to kind of unpack some things here. Is this what is that there's talk about moving to 5D? Is that what this is? Is the shift to 5D?
So a lot of people call it, there's people call it different names, call it 5D. The key thing, it is all the same thing, but it is not another physical place that we're moving to. It is a shift in our perspective, a shift in our awareness. So it's like almost like if you imagine, it's that idea between touch and sight. Well, this is sight to sixth sense. So it's like we start to see the world from a much more open, broader perspective, and we understand our place in it. And it's almost like, people say we only use 10% of our brain. Well, imagine going from 10% to 90%, and our experience of what it is to be human. So that is what 5D is. And there really is there's like a mitosis or a separation that happens. This is sort of trippy, but the angels have said that this is a unique lifetime in a bunch of different ways. It's a unique time of healing where we're able to basically access our entire Akashic records and heal everything. But we also were born with sort of two aspects inside of us, a sort of a 3D aspect and a 5D aspect. And as we go internal, that 5D aspect is literally born. And so it's, and you can call it 5D, but it's a heightened state of awareness. So we had come in with one awareness and we're birthing into a new awareness. Yeah.
So we're being upgraded.
In a big way, in a really big way. Yeah.
Is there a reason that the people that are on this planet right now, you and me and others, everyone watching this, is there a reason that we're here, right now? Is it because we're ready for this upgrade?
I definitely, like, everybody who's here right now, like I think of being here right now like winning the lottery. This is the most exciting place to be in the entire universe of universes at this moment. Like, this is the place to be. So if someone is here, it means not only did they win the lottery, but they're already a very special soul to be here, every single person. And there's many different ways we're going to go through this experience. There are some people who agreed before they came that they would not stay through these shifts. There are some people who we will lose lives during these. I mean, like, you can't have an event like the Earth Rift and not lose lives. But when the angels have said is when that happens, that they said not a single soul will be lost, that they will literally be, and they won't experience pain. They'll be taken from their bodies before they experience any pain, and and trauma. They'll be taken from their bodies and they'll be brought into this, the ever after, right? Into the, it's so I think what we think when you hear people talk about the rapture, it's that idea that these people who might be in the way of calamity, who knew that coming in, who wanted to be here at this time because this is such a unique, amazing time for healing. But that part of that process was they'll leave during the shift and go and basically go to the other side, but brought through without any physical trauma, without any physical pain. But for then there'll be many people who stay and who are here for the process and for the shift in consciousness. And we'll be here to basically rebuild, build and live in a new society. And so there will be a period where there will be people living on Earth who, some of them who will have already shifted into the higher state of consciousness, and some will not. Because it's not like a thing like, say you're standing, riding on a bus and you're next to someone and the flash of lights hit and you shift to 5D and they don't. Like, it's not like they disappear. They don't. They're still sitting next to you, but they're experiencing it really, really differently, right? And so those people have the remainder of their human lives to be in this energy, to find their way, if they choose to shift. But not all of them will choose to. So some of the people who are here who will not shift, and there is absolutely no judgment in that for some souls, they may decide that living in a karmic construct, living in a situation where we're having to face ourselves in difficulties, they may decide that is a better way for them to grow, that for where they are in their journey. And we're all going to get to the same place at the end. So nobody wins by being there first. So some people just decide they're going to learn faster. There's going to be better for them to stay in the karmic construct. So they may pass on. And then the big thing about that is that they can no longer reincarnate on Earth. They will live out their life here. They just can't come back here. And those people who say, nope, I am totally down with this new way of non-karmic living, what we call dharmic living, which means that rather than living a life where you are encountering yourself and dealing with hardship in order to understand yourself, you are instead creating from presence, which is and that's a whole nother conversation we could have. But those people will also live out their lives here and then be able to reincarnate here, because that will be the new vibration of Earth. So the people who are here now, the reason why people wanted to be here is because this is an incredibly unique time, not only to witness something which has never happened, which is the birth. We came in with these two souls, not two souls, but two aspects of ourselves, and we're birthing into a new aspect while in the same body. That's a first time ever that's happened. So we get to be here for that and get to experience it. But also, any other past life we've ever had, we did not have access to the Akashic records, which is where all of the history of all of our past lives are stored. And when we would be born, we would only have access to very specific lives that we would have chosen, that would have been related to the life we were currently living. So we would have been like, okay, in this life, I want to work on the feeling of hopelessness. So I'm going to find 2 past lives where I was hopeless, and I'm going to bring those influences into this life so that I encounter hopelessness. So I have the chance to work through it and learn how to get past it. And that's kind of how we would build a life before we got here. We would plan the life. So, but this life, totally different. All bets were off. All scripts are gone. They said, okay, you've got the keys to the entire library. You can heal as much as you want to heal. You can uncover as much as you want to know about your past lives. You could heal everything. You could go through the entire catalog of every life you've ever lived. You could become a completely friction-free being in this lifetime if you want to. And that has never happened before. So that is the unique opportunity of this time, which is why healing, and this is like now, like this is in this time now. That's why healing is so critical, because this is such a rare opportunity to be able to do it, because we can access so much more of our depth. And every little bit of healing you do, you keep with you forever. That's knowledge about yourself that you carry. That's self-awareness, that's self-love. Your light shines brighter, and that stays with you for eternity.
What does the planet look like on the other side after this Earth rift and after kind of the dust settles?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. Like, are we gonna see things like glowy? Is it gonna be like, like what's that movie, Avatar? When the plants are glowing. That'd be so cool. But yeah, I don't know about that. I do know that in the long run, that angels said that borders don't make sense anymore. That one of the things we discover after, because we've been in this process of horrible war, And then we have the earth rift, and the earth rift creates enough chaos in the world that humanity begins to realize that we actually need each other and we value each other. And this happens at the same time that we are shifting inside, and more of us, more and more increasingly, are accepting this energy and moving to this higher state of consciousness where we love each other. So all of a sudden it's like, why would I say I get to keep all the grain and you get none? Why would there be this border between us? Like, we're one thing, we're all the same. Like, I can feel your pain, let's share. And it becomes a one world rather than, and it's not that we obliterate culture and stuff like that. It is that the idea of the haves and the have-nots does not make sense anymore when we feel each other's feelings. And so that is the big shift that we go through, that the world becomes this kinder, gentler place. And the angels said that we evolve to a place where we understand that we are the guardians of the earth, that we move to a space of living much more locally, where we get our needs met from each other. So they said, one of the things, if people are talking about how do I prepare for the changes that are come, start investing in a local network. Like, who are your neighbors? Who are the people around you? If you have needs, how can you get them met locally? Where are local farms? Where, if you have animals that you need to feed, where, if you have a horse, where can you buy local hay? Like, what's local? What can you get around? How can you start developing and investing in the people around you to create a community that you then support each other as you move into this next stage of living? Another big thing is the angels have said over and over and over again that we need to have a way to clean our water. They've been saying for years that there would be lots of flooding, and boy, have we been seeing it, right? It's been so true, but I don't think that's the half of it. I think there's a lot more coming. So one of the things that happens when we have floods is it messes with the drinking water. The water can get, like, you can get it happened I think just now in Brazil, where I think it was like it crosses the septic system and the drinking water system, and the water gets polluted. You need a way to clean your water. And so preferably a way that will eliminate viruses, and that is not, it doesn't take power, or, you don't have to boil water, because you don't know what the circumstances are going to be. So you just want to have a way to have clean water. And there's lots of people asking for recommendations, but everybody's got a different opinion on it. Some people recommend the Berkey, but the Berkey's been having some issues with with the FDA. But I would just suggest there's lots of options out there, backpacking options. You can even get the cheapest of cheap is they make these life straws, which are like $5, and you could just have one of those. It doesn't have to be a big spend, but it is one of the things they say all the time. Please have a way to clean your water. You may not need it, but there'll be enough people out there who do that they say it all the time. And then having a backstock, it doesn't have to be huge, but a backstock of food to see you through. The angels have specifically said it, that there's not going to be, it's not that there won't be anything, it's that there won't be everything. And so it's a little bit like they did say shipping would be catastrophic as an industry. The shipping industry would be catastrophic. And there are so many things that we depend on from shipping, especially things to be manufactured that are, shipped from the one part made here and another part made here. So it's a big reorganization of the world into local creation, local manufacturing, local providing, getting your needs met locally. But there'll be a period as we're trying to figure our stuff out where it will be nice to have a little backstock. And I just say, it doesn't, like, again, it doesn't take a lot of money. Get a big bag of rice and a big bag of beans. That is cheap. You know what I mean? And you adapt that for your dietary needs. If you prefer lentils, or you prefer, couscous, or whatever you like. But a big bag of inexpensive, something that is dried, that will keep forever, because they don't tell us when. They say, no. My personal belief is that the flash of light will come sometime in the second half of 2026, based on astrology. But I could be wrong. That is not the angel speaking. That is my best guess. So, but that's when I think it comes. So I think we have war all through 2025. I think we have the end of this year. I think the US falls apart. I think we have war all 20. And I've made guesses before based on astrology and been wrong. But this one, I think this is my current assumption of what I'm going on. And people ask me, like, what about traveling? Like, is it safe to travel? And I say, well, I think the kind of big things that are going to happen are like the US falling apart. If that hasn't happened yet, travel, have fun, do what you want to do. And that is a big thing the angels have said, is that no matter what's coming, it is essential that we need to continue to invest in our lives, continue to do all the things that you do as if the world was continuing, because everything you do is energy. So say, for example, you have kids and you are investing in their college fund, and you're like, why would I bother to invest in their college fund anymore if the economy is going to fail? And I say, because that is an energy of you investing in your children's future. And maybe the structures won't look the same anymore, but the energy will. And that energy will carry you forward. And so you will continue to be able to provide for your children's future in a new way. We just don't know what it is. So they say, keep investing in your life, keep engaging in your life. Don't do the prepper, like close yourself off. And, it's not about that. It's about, yes, we want to go internal, but we go internal to connect with the all, to connect to the oneness, to all of us. So we really need to move into a space where we are working with each other and to create a more sustainable and a life that respects and takes care of Earth. Yeah.
And if my viewers wanted to reach out to you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'd love for them to find me. I'm on YouTube as well. It's under my name, Ann Tucker, and my website is anntucker.com.
Wonderful. And if you had one message that you wanted the audience to take away from today's conversation, what would you leave them with?
I would say to see these messages that we get as inspiring, to see them as what they are, as they're letting us know, to be allowing and to try to be in flow as much as we possibly can, to see resistance as the thing we are trying to heal. And the more we let go of, the less friction there is in your life, the more peace you experience, that you can have a beautiful life in this life right now.
Oh, I love that. Yes, you can have a beautiful life in this life right now. No better message than that. Thank you so much, Anne. This has been such a pleasure for me. I've really enjoyed speaking with you today.
Thank you so much. Me too. Really appreciate you sharing your platform with me and your viewers. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you being here and supporting my channel. If you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing if you enjoy near-death experiences and other spiritually transformative stories. It helps the algorithm know that this information is useful and push it out to more people. And that's the goal, to get as many people to know that we are eternal spiritual beings and that we never die. Our bodies might die, but our essence will never die. And I want people to live with less fear. Let's all spread the word. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that little notification bell so you get all the notifications when my videos post. Thank you for all of your support. I'm sending love to you.